Do you like dominant 7 chords? Do you pray for passing tones? Are you mad for the Mixolydian mode? Well then, this week's lick is for you.
Dance all night, play all day. Don't let nothing get in your way. Dance all night, keep the beat. And don't you worry about your left feet. Shake it up.
Hello kids and welcome to Weekend Wankshop here with your good pal, Uncle Ben. The only weekly lick lesson series hosted by former head boy of Ravenclaw. You know, children, taking an ordinary scale shape or pattern that you know and embellishing it with some chromaticism and passing tones is a great way to up the price tag on it any old time. You'll obviously hear guys doing this all over jazz music and gypsy jazz and stuff like that too, but also creeps into country guitar playing, bluegrass, as well as even some blues, and there's even a lot of rock players like my good friend Emil Werstler that uses these kinds of ideas to spice up kind of, standard pentatonic rock licks and stuff like that. This lick would sound great being played over a B7 chord, which would be the 5 chord for the key of E major. And you could sneak it into a bluegrass context, or I was kind of thinking of a gypsy jazz kind of context with this, so you could, shoehorn this into Sweet Georgia Brown or something like that, make it sound pretty good. It's utilizing as kind of a skeleton this sort of Mixolydian kind of dominant 7. It's like a 2-note per string. You could kind of think of it as an arpeggio, or you could kind of think of it as like a Mixolydian scale without a 6, or a dominant 7 with a ton of extra shit added in. Whatever, it doesn't really matter. It's using this basic skeleton right here, which I use all the time, and embellishing it with some chromatic notes just to kind of, jack the price tag up. But before we dig into it, let's hear it again, this time at stepdad speed. And as always, you can find a full tab for this week's lick on my Instagram page. Go to Instagram and look for Ben Eller Guitars. Find this week's lick and learn how to play it. Then upload a video of yourself playing it along with the hashtag Weekend Wankshop. That way I can check it out and give your house 50 points. So before we dive right into the lick, I want to show you guys the basic kind of skeleton I'm thinking of here. Like I said, it's kind of a Mixolydian thing. It's kind of a dominant 7 thing. I think of the two as being very inseparable. When I think about a dominant 7 chord, I think about the Mixolydian scale. So it's kind of lumped those two things in the same folder in my brain catalog. But anyway, here's the basic deal with how I play this. I want you to see the outline of this so you can see how we're basically connecting the dots with some of these chromatic notes that we're throwing in here too. They're notes that we're not necessarily going to focus on, but we're just going to pass by them on the way to other good, useful notes, So here's the basic idea. I'm starting off on B, which you can find at fret number 7 of your low E string. And on that string, I'm playing B and C sharp, which is going to be frets 7 and 9. Next on the A string here, I'm going to play 2 notes. I'm going to play a D sharp and an F sharp. We can find that as fret 6 and fret 9. And then on the D string here, we're going to play A and B, which we can find right here, fret 7 and fret 9. Notice whenever I did that, my pointer finger shifted up. Whenever we started this lick, I was kind of in the 6th position, meaning my pointer finger was located at fret 6 and everybody else was just kind of behaving in their little box like that. Whenever I reach the D string, watch how I shift up. Because the rest of this lick is kind of in the 7th position. So that means if you're descending down, you would shift down to the 6th once you get to the A string there. So anyway, so far we got 7, 9, 6, 9, your mom's favorite, 7, 9, 8, 9. On the G string here. On the B string, we're going to have 7 and 10. And on the high E, 7 and 11. And scale degree wise, that gives us 1, 2, 3, 5, flat 7, 1, 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 1, 3. So it's got all the ingredients of a dominant 7 chord, root 3rd, 5th, flat 7th, as well as a couple extra notes from that Mixolydian scale thrown in, like the 2 and the 4 in there. So considering this lick is descending, let's look at how you play that descending real quick here before we dig into filling in all these little gaps. 11, 7. 10, 7, 9, 8, 9, 7, 9, 6, 9, 7. Get familiar with that, and then we'll hop right into how to fill this guy in. So the first portion of this lick is going to start off on the high E string, and I'm beginning on the root note. Always a good idea to start off a lick on the root note of the chord you're playing against. So if it's a B7 chord, maybe consider starting on a B note. Good choice. So here's the first part of the lick. So what I'm doing is I'm taking this skeleton that we had, and I'm just putting some meat on them bones. I'm playing 7, 9, 10, 11, and then back to 7. Now, this first note we're playing here is coming in on the upbeat. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1. So it's not necessarily starting on beat number 1, so keep that in mind. Otherwise, it'll kind of throw your timing off a little bit. So after we play that little ascending pattern here, 7, 9, 10, 11, 7, what I'm going to do is just to descend down the next two strings. 10, 7, 9, 8. That's kind of the first portion of the lick. Now after that, what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the B string right here. You remember how its skeleton was this? 10 and 7? What we're going to do is just connect the dots. And then I'm going to play down the G string on its notes, 9 and 8. And then I'm going to play down the D string on his notes, 9 and 7. So far we have this. Second section. Now after this, what I'm going to do is backtrack down a string here again. So I'm going to go back to the G string here. I'm going to play 9 and 8. Then play the D strings 2 notes, 9 and 7. And then I'm going to play down the A string. Now remember on the A string we initially had these notes, right? These two. We'll just connect them. So I played 9, 8, 7, 6. Just like that. After this, I'm going to play down the low E string on his 2 notes, 9 and 7, which is the root note. And then what I'm going to do to end this lick out is to end on a B note, which is the 9th fret here on the D string. Again, that's the root note of the chord you're playing against, so pretty strong idea to end on that, same way that we started on it. That's how you can make some licks that have some real cohesion to them. Start off on a root note, or maybe a 3rd or 5th, end on a root note or a 3rd or 5th. It's like make a strong entrance, play a bunch of bullshit in the middle, make a strong exit, and that's what the audience really hears the most. They hear the entrance, they hear the exit, you know? One more time all together. Snazzy. Yeah, as for the picking hand here, it's all alternate picked, but I want to point out a really important thing. It begins with an upstroke, okay? If you try to play this lick starting with a downstroke, you're going to have a bad time. Because what it's going to end up doing is forcing you to end every string on a downstroke. So this first lick that we play, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 notes in it, an odd number of notes. So if I begin on a downstroke, I'm ending on a downstroke. And that just puts me further away from the B string, where I have to do this upstroke and then a downstroke. Again, I'm far away from the G string now. I've got to jump over and all that stuff. It's a lot harder if you play this lick starting off with a downstroke. I've emphasized this in very many of my other videos. I will continue to do so. Go watch Cracking the Code here on YouTube. It's the best picking series of anything that you've ever seen on the internet. Troy Grady will break this stuff down and show you exactly why you should be starting with an upstroke versus a downstroke in some cases and stuff like that. I'm serious, watch it. Life-changing stuff. What we're going to do here is we're going to begin with an upstroke on this lick, which makes sense rhythmically too, because like I pointed out before, this doesn't come in on the downbeat, it comes in on the upbeat. So it's a cool thing because if you start off with an upstroke on the upbeat, then all your downstrokes, you know, your big powerful downstrokes will end up right there on the downbeat where they should be. Very much a bluegrass kind of trick, I guess you could say. So anyway, starting off with an upstroke for this lick, and then everything else is just straight up alternate. Up, down, 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 up, down. So you'll notice that whenever we played it that way, we were able to leave every string on an upstroke. The last note we played on every string there was an upstroke, which is good because that'll facilitate your string change if you're playing with what Troy Grady and Cracking the Code, which you should be watching right now, calls a downwards pick slant. Very, very important. See how the pick is kind of slanted downwards so that the tip of the pick is slanted, pointed slightly towards the ceiling? That's really the key to all this stuff. Again, go watch Troy's videos. You will learn why, young one. So there you go, kids. A cool Mixolydian lick with a bargain bin price tag and $1 million sound. Use that one to scare up some hot chicks in your area now. Thanks for watching. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Ben Eller Guitars. And also drop me an email if you're interested in setting up some one-on-one Skype guitar lessons with Uncle Ben here himself, where I'm going to learn you in the ways of theory, organizing the fretboard, and all that other stuff that you need to become a shred-eye knight. Thank you guys again for watching. Please subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more cool shit next time. Take it easy.